Welcome to our fifth lesson on AutoCAD and structural drafting for civil engineers. We're going to be continuing on now with learning how to create drawings and using title blocks. So getting towards the final stages of being able to present what you've drawn in the first few lessons. So following on from the introduction, learning to draw in lesson 2, following on with general details in lesson 3, concrete layouts and the likes in lesson 4. Now in lesson 5 we're going to have a look at various things: title blocks, viewports, dimension styles, drawing requirements, general notes on drawings, and CTB files. So let's get started. Swap across to AutoCAD, AutoCAD Lite 2013. Up until now we've been mainly working in model space, which as we explained is almost a canvas that goes on for infinity, and you draw at 1:1 scale here. But now let's start creating a drawing. Let's say we want to create a drawing where we can put all our different pieces of information at the correct scales and start doing all that information. So now what we're going to do, we've got layout. We want to create a new layout, one of these layouts at the bottom. So we go new layout. Right, enter new layout name. Let's call it test. And alright, there we go. We've created our new layout, test. When you start a new layout, we're going to create an A1 drawing here. So we're going to go now to page setup. When page setup comes, it comes up the page setup manager with all these different options. We're going to modify the page setup now. So we'll click on modify. We're going to select a printer firstly. We can just set it as DWG to PDF for now. Plot style, we're going to set, I'm going to use, let's say that, this is the one I've been using up until now. Now, I'm going to paper size. This, here we go, ISO expand, well we're just going to go, I think, a straight ISO A1, so it's A1 with the pen settings we've got. You can set up various pen settings. Actually, I'll just use that one. This will be the one given to students, AutoCAD pen settings. This has the thicknesses of the lines, mapping what color to what thickness. If I open this, if I go to edit, it will open a little file here. And this is where it contains the information. So you can see color 1, which is red. When it prints, which is what's shown on the right, it's a black. It's pen number 7, screening, and it's a 0.18 more thick. 2.25, 3, which is green, 0.4. So you can see how all the sizes are, the thicknesses are set here for the various different lines. And you can adjust these. You can even set different colors here. So you could actually set it, for instance, this color plot says that specific color there. And you can go through that and set up all sorts of different pen settings. But normally you work with 10 or 20 standard colors. But this is set up in your CTB files, sunacadpens.ctb. You can have multiple CTBs. So you can, if you get drawings from different places, you can plot them all with the pen line types correctly mapped. So, but now we've created a DWG to PDF, so we're going to create a PDF when we're finished with these pen settings, normal quality, A1. This area you can change either to layout, which is fixed, a window. You can actually draw a window over one to plot extents of what you're viewing, so and then or a display what you've currently got displayed. Now we're going to set a layout for now. Plot scale. Be very careful when you set up a drawing. Make sure it's 1:1. If this is not 1:1, you can end up with all sorts of problems. If you know what you're doing and you want to change this for a particular reason, set it as something else, but in general, just leave this as 1:1. Don't normally need to use that. Okay, it's a landscape. Yeah, that's all fine. You can play with those. Alright, and there we go. We've created now an A1 drawing. That comes out looking like that. If we want to now add a title block, either you can manually go and draw a title block, or if you've got a title block you can copy and paste on. I'm going to have a look at. Let me use this one here. I'm going to select the whole thing. Press Control C. Go to my test and go Control V, paste. And I can paste my title block in. There we go. I have a title block. Oh, let me just show you something. A few seconds ago, you'll see everything didn't display. This was missing. Sometimes what you do is you just need to reset your page. What I did is I double clicked with my scroll wheel, the scroll wheel which you zoom in and out with. If you double click with that, it can sort of regenerate the page to bring up information that doesn't show. Or what you can do is type regen or R-E-G-E-N, regen, or enter, and it'll regenerate. If these viewports don't display, it'll regenerate them. I'm going to delete that one. Now let's actually delete and start from scratch. Now we've got a page which is an A1 size. Make sure it fits within the dotted lines, which shows what size or what will be plotted when you plot. Let's start adding now some viewports to this. So within the layout, we're going to add a rectangular viewport. So if I click on rectangular, you can even add a polygonal or other shape. Alright, and I'm going to draw out a box. This viewport is a window into my model space. So this is what you use to create the various views and the various layouts. So now if I click on this, this will give me properties of it at the side here. If you don't have the properties window open like that, just right click, go properties, properties at the bottom there, and it comes up. I'm going to now double click and go into this window. See, I can now zoom in and out, and I can change the scale of whatever I'm looking at. But one thing people often get confused is, how do you set this to a particular scale? Let's say now there was our section which we drew earlier. That was drawn at 1 in 50. We want to display this at exactly 1 in 50, so that even if you take a ruler, once it's plotted out, it will give you those dimensions. Alright, now if to change a scale, when the viewport is activated, you type Z for zoom, enter, S for scale, enter. Now you type in your scale, and we've got 1/50 XP, enter, and there you go. We've created a layer and a viewport. If we want to lock this, there's this tool down the bottom, lock, unlock viewport. If we click on it now, even if we activated it, now won't change the scale. It's good practice to lock your viewport once you've set it to be where you want. Viewports can be adjusted. You can move them backwards and forwards just to display more or less of what's shown. But let's go through that again. I'm just going to unlock it, double click, zoom, get it more or less where you want it to be. Z, enter, S, enter, 1/50 XP, enter, and it's exactly your 1 in 50 scale. You can move it around so all the text fits on. Be very careful when you set up a viewport. What's very easy to do, like I've got here, is you can trim off text. Or sometimes if you put it in such a position, you don't even realize the text is cut off. So that's something you should always check for. It's very easy to make that mistake. Alright, now we've got our viewport. But we're going to now change the layer this is on to viewports. Set up a layer called viewports here. Viewport or viewports. There you go. You'll see I've made it on a strange color, so I know that this is a viewport. I know it's something different. And if you go into our layers, layer properties, you go down to viewports, it's set to not plot. And that's very useful. Then even though we can see this outline now, when you plot it, you won't. So if I press, if I can plot it, I can go Control P to plot. So it brings up my plot window. If I do preview, you'll see there we go, there's no border around the outside of that area. And also you'll see the different thicknesses of lines coming up there, so the thicker ones and thinner ones showing. So you get, it sort of looks more clear and you can pick up what's what. Right, press escape to get out of there. And the other way you can plot is from this window. You go click at the top, print, and then you can plot it from here, batch plot. And there's various other tools. For now we're just using the basic plotting tool that's normally for general drawings. That's enough. But there's various other useful functions here, and you can export and do all sorts of other things. Alright, let's add another layout, another viewport. So go layout, rectangular, rectangular. We're going to add it to our drawing. We're going to add that plan view. Let's see if we can fit it on. Alright, this is what we created in the last session. Now Z, enter, S for scale, enter 1/. This is a 1 in 100 scale. It's a plan view. Alright, there we go. And we can move it around. and lock it. If we want to match our properties, go home, match properties, click, click, click. Alright, we've matched our properties. You'll see this doesn't quite fit. I might have to go back and adjust some text here to get it on if it's not on. Even in this window though, I could actually activate the window and move this text around. So you can do a certain amount of editing from your viewports. It's certainly possible. It's normally easier drawing in model space and setting it up, but sometimes you can set it up and then draw in model space. And that, then you're starting to create viewports, and then you can fill up this drawing with all the information you need. Try to set up so that it's clear. Normally when you set up a drawing though, you'd have this template from the beginning, and if you're unsure of scales, for instance, what scale do I draw this at, and you know it has to fit on an A1 or an A0, you could create a viewport and quickly check, or your grid lines, do the grid lines fit on whatever scale, 1 in 100, 1 in 150, 200, etc., and then do your drawing, do your dimensioning and your text at that scale. So that's an easy way to work around that problem. So you know in advance, you don't draw this whole layout only to find all your dimensions and your text and that the rest is wrong and you have to redo it. Now the other details you should consider adding, or other details you should consider first, this is our title block at the bottom. This is what we discussed in one of the first lessons. I normally like having a size on it because often someone might receive a PDF and they won't know what the original size was, so they'll plot it, so it's an A1 drawing. This is the drawing number. Different companies will have different systems. If I go back to this one here, we'll have job number, so it's A123, building, store, drawing, surface bed, drawing number 01. If it's a reinforcement building schedule, then revision is very careful. You can give a description, the as-built drawing, construction, not for construction, for information. You can put that sort of information there. Let's go back to the drawing, test drawing here. So there's various information, and different drawings have different standards. In terms of that, revision C, normally what you have is revisions A, B, C, D, etc. When you're at before construction stage. When construction starts, you go to Rev North, Rev 1, Rev 2. But once again, that depends. If you give it a project name, area name, title, and all the details. So this is explanatory. You have your client's name. You have your own company's logo. You normally have your company's logo here somewhere. This title block's got other information as well. The consultant drawing name, in case the consulting company has a different name to the actual overall drawing. If it's one big client, sometimes they have the same drawing system for everything, the file names, you know what to do it, who drew it, who checked it, when it was done, and then your revisions. The revisions, you put revision, the date the drawing is issued on, the description, and the description can be quite important, but you can then note what was changed on that revision, who was by and who checked it. And as said in the beginning, it's very important drawing gets checked both by the person who drew it and by someone else if possible, or generally it should be someone else, unless it's a very, very simple drawing. And then you can even put reference drawings. So let's say we've got multiple ones. I could put the steel drawing or the concrete drawing or something else, so they'd know where to go find them, so the drawing number and the description. So especially if there's reference drawings, so I've got sections or HD bolts or something, I can put that information here. Another thing you should add to drawings is all your standard notes. Okay, sometimes you have your standard notes on a separate drawing. Sometimes you put it all on this one. I'm going to go to a couple of drawings now. Actually, escape out of this. And I'm going to show you some standard notes you may want to put on a drawing. And since I zoom in here, drawing to be read in conjunction with all relevant architects' drawings, etc. Dimensions must not be scaled. This is sort of the notes you can put. Over time, you'll see why these happen, just to avoid potential problems. You give them finishes for the concrete strengths of concrete strengths, columns, walls, surface beds, etc. So those based on your design and based on standards, your sort of bases and footings 20, stairs 20, surface beds 30, etc. Water retaining structures maybe are higher. So these you can give general standards of what MPA strengths, details, columns, legends, etc. You can see this one's got an A0 and even a scale. So you can provide all that sort of information at the side here. You can put it up to top here. Sometimes you have it on the side. This is for a concrete drawing now. If we go to have a look at a steel drawing. Oops. The steelwork drawing. This was from our original Tekla drawing. Steelwork. You can put all your steelwork specs. The standards they're supposed to build, welding specs, bolt types. All structural steelwork should be grade S355JR, so the steelwork side. Structural bolts shall be M20 grade 8.8 except where purlins, and girts where bolts may be M16 grade 4.8. And you can give them general details, stuff that you don't have to put on every single drawing. You can copy and paste it from onto paintwork specification and the likes. These are all very important details you can add to your drawing. You can even add specs for on the drawing for gutters, painted with black bitumen. You could put that at the side, but you could put that in the standard notes. So those are also all sorts of general details you should add to your drawing. And at the side, let's go back here. The way this drawing is being created is all this text, all this title block is actually a block. So if I double click on it, I can edit it, and then I can go in. And this now is the block. So you can edit it here, and then if you've got multiple title blocks open, it will update all of them. So that's one way. There we go. And you can have all whatever information you require. So to close our block editor, if this is your first drawing, you don't have a template, you'd have to set up one of these, and you probably even have to plot it a few times to see how it looks before you finalize it. So let's close that, discard the changes. Alright, and then you can just go through. Let's say now a new revision comes up. So, and I want to edit this, I can just copy and paste this. So, copy, and move that up to the new line. There we go. And it's revision D. And whatever date it was issued on. And something changed again. And give the details if you need to. You can even give multiple lines. Once you've done that though, it's also good to show on the drawing what changed. So you can imagine, especially if a contractor is getting multiple drawings, and he's got lots of information on the drawing, he won't know exactly, he might not notice that this little note here has changed, and they could really be building that part of the structure, and he won't know till it's too late. So to avoid problems, you normally want to put a cloud around the information that has changed. So try to put clouds as often as possible. It just makes life a lot easier for everyone in general, so you can see what's changed, the contractors can see what's changed, and keep track. Often, if clouds are not put on things, people simply miss it, or the contractor should actually say, listen, please, Mr. Engineer, or whoever, please would you add some clouds to it. What I'm going to do now is add a cloud to this drawing. I can add it in this actual paper space here. So let's say this foundation changed. Draw a square around it. Let me go to my annotate revision cloud or arc length. So I'm going to specify an arc length for, let's say, 20 millimeters and 20 maximum of 20 millimeters. All right. Enter. And then if I click on this, it will become a revision cloud. There you go. And now it's very obvious to see that that is what needs to change or has changed. Otherwise, you can just draw a revision cloud straight. And you can just click and start drawing around whatever has been changed. So either you draw a couple of lines and then you change the lines to a cloud, or you can just draw the cloud wherever you want it. So that's a useful way to indicate what's changed on any revision. And that more or less covers title blocks. So you can at least now set up a title block, create viewports, edit your title blocks, and generally produce a drawing. You add your standard notes to the side, put all your information, your concrete strengths, your steel specifications, your earthworks details, your standard sands 10 or 10400 or whatever it is you're using, and you can go through and give all the details required and all references that the contractor, client, whoever might need to refer to find that information. Alright, and that covers all this general details. We can now produce a drawing. Let's just check our lecture slides that we've been through title blocks, viewports. Okay, we're just going to quickly go through dimension styles just so you can see drawing requirements and CTEs. As you can see, we have here the 1 in 50 and the 1 in 100. If you look at the text and you look at the dimensions, once you've created the drawing, they all look the same. So going to here, but here they look very different because they've been zoomed in and zoomed out at different levels. And if you want to create that, you can actually edit it here within these dimensions. These are the ones we've set up for this job: 1 in 1, 1 in 2.5, etc. If you want to edit them, you can go to here, click on that little button, and you can start editing the dimension styles. And here we go. You can start and go modify, and you can go into it and actually edit the requirements to match what you want. One easy way otherwise is you set up one dimension style for 1 in 1, and then you just modify that. Use overall scale of 20, and you can just adjust the scale then. So you create the first type of text, and you just adjust the scale so they'll all look exactly the same. So for instance, you'll see this 1 in 50, modify, uses an overall scale of 1 in 50. Otherwise, you can go through and adjust it. There's various tools you can use here. You can change the colors of your dimension styles, or set it to by layer. You can adjust the line type, line thicknesses, how far the dimension lines stick up or down, the arrows on the end, what your arrows look like. There's various standard arrows you can use and put in there, arrow sizes, break sizes. You can go through and edit various different information, and you can make lots of different styles and look totally different. So you can even adjust the alignment. But you can go through and play with all these. It's quite useful. You've got units. You can change the unit format to whatever you need to. You can even add multiple units, alternate units if you're drawing in feet and inches and millimeters. So you can have both on a dimension style. So there you go. You can create multiple units. Tolerances, what it rounds off to. So you can go through and play with all of those. Just going to cancel and close that. If, however, once you've drawn something, you can even go edit just one at a time. If you go to it, and you can go through the properties and start editing your dimension styles. But normally the easiest thing is set up a set of dimension styles and then use it repeatedly for all your drawings. And it makes life much quicker because you know exactly what you're drawing, all the details, all the dimensions. It's all there right in front of you, and it also matches what you've got set up here. And also you set up a text style, and then you can just copy it up or down. Rule of thumb, I know a 1 in 100 is a 250 millimeter or 250 height, 250 text height, and then I can just adjust it from that. So obviously then a 1 in 50 is a 125, and it goes down to all those. So you can set up that. You can have your section marks, your leaders, and all sorts of details set as constant. And then you just copy and paste this for 1 in 200, 1 in 500 to the drawing you're using, such that you've got all the information then and there. So it allows you to draw. And there you go. You've created a drawing, you've added annotations, you've added sections, and we can continue it. And you basically, at this point in time, can produce a drawing. You can go through, set it up, do a layout, set out your grid lines, and do everything. In the next lesson, we're just going to finish off with various miscellaneous tools. And then you are more or less competent, or basically competent draftsman if you can do all this. There are a lot more tools you can use. This is just the basics, as I said up front. At least gives you a feel, and then with time you can experiment with the other tools. And then in the next lesson, also going to show you various other details, considerations, and other things to have a look at when doing drawings. Thanks.